Welcome back to Quarter Dollar. You know what's crazy? Right now, at this very moment, there are 10 wheat pennies floating around in circulation that are worth a combined $126,500. I'm not talking about pennies locked away in some museum or sitting in a millionaire's vault. I'm talking about pennies that they could be in your pocket right now, in your car's cup holder, or buried at the bottom of that old change jar sitting on your dresser. Some of these little copper coins are worth more than a brand new pickup truck. One of them could literally pay off a chunk of your mortgage. And here's the thing that blows my mind. Most people have no idea what they're looking at. They see an old wheat penny and think it's worth maybe a nickel, maybe a dime if they're lucky. But the 10 pennies I'm about to show you, they're worth thousands, tens of thousands, and in some cases over $100,000 each. So if you've ever wondered whether checking your change is actually worth your time, you're about to get your answer. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell right now, because what I'm about to share with you could genuinely change your life. Let's dive in. The first coin you need to look at is this 1902 Indian head penny, and I'm going to tell you right now, this is not your average old penny. Look at this thing. You can see the date clearly stamped at the bottom, 1902. And even though this coin has been through over a century of circulation, the details are still remarkably visible. The Indian head profile on the obverse side shows Lady Liberty wearing a Native American headdress, and you can still make out the individual feathers in that headdress. That's important because the more detail you can see, the more this coin is worth. Now flip it over to the reverse side and you'll see the words 1 cent surrounded by a wreath of oak leaves and arrows. The shield at the top is still defined, and that wreath detail is crucial for grading purposes. Here's what makes this coin so valuable. First, we're talking about a coin that's 123 years old. It survived 2 world wars, the Great Depression, and countless hands passing it from person to person. The fact that it still exists in this condition is remarkable. But what really drives the value is the combination of age, rarity, and condition. This particular 1902 Indian head penny you're looking at appears to be in what collectors call good to very good condition. I can see somewhere on the high points there's some patina and oxidation giving it that beautiful aged copper look. But the key details are intact, and the date is fully readable, the lettering around the rim is clear, and you can distinguish the design elements on both sides. Now let's talk numbers, because this is where it gets exciting. A 1902 Indian head penny in good condition, which is what we're looking at here, typically sells for anywhere between $15 to $35. That might not sound like a fortune, but remember, this is a coin that most people would spend without thinking twice. If this same coin were in fine condition with sharper details, you're looking at $50 to $75. Move up to extremely fine condition where the feather tips are sharp and the diamond details on the ribbon are clear, and you're talking about $200 to $400. And here's the kicker. If you happen to find a 1902 Indian head penny in mint state condition, meaning it was never circulated, and looks like it just came from the mint, you could be holding anywhere from $800 to over $3,000 in your hand. But there's more to this story. The 1902 was minted in Philadelphia, and they produced over 87 million of these pennies that year. You might think that makes them common, but here's the reality. Most of those coins are long gone. They've been lost, damaged, melted down, or worn completely smooth. The survival rate for Indian head pennies in collectible condition is actually quite low. And within the 1902 mintage, there are varieties that collectors hunt for specifically. Some 1902 pennies show doubled die errors, where the date or lettering appears slightly doubled due to a mint error. Those error coins can sell for hundreds or even thousands more than a regular 1902. What you're seeing in this image is a coin with honest wear, natural patina, and authentic age. That greenish oxidation you see in some areas, that's called verdigris. And it's a natural process that happens to copper over time when exposed to moisture. Some collectors actually prefer this look because it proves the coin's authenticity and age. The brown and copper tones mixing together tell the story of this penny's journey through more than a century of American history. This coin was minted during Theodore Roosevelt's presidency. It could have bought you a newspaper, a piece of candy, or contributed to a nickel for a loaf of bread. And now in the right hands, it's worth potentially hundreds of times its face value. So if you come across a 1902 Indian head penny, don't just toss it aside. Check the date carefully, examine the details, and if you can see clear design elements like this one shows, you might want to get it appraised. Even in circulated condition, these coins have real value to collectors. And who knows, you might have one sitting in an old jar right now that could put $50, $100, or even several $100s in your pocket. Keep watching, because the next 9 coins I'm about to show you are going to blow your mind even more. Next up, we've got a 1905 Indian head penny, and folks, this is where things start getting really interesting. Take a good look at this coin. The date, 1905, is crystal clear at the bottom, and even though this penny has seen over 120 years of use, it's holding up remarkably well. What I want you to notice right away is the overall condition. This coin shows honest circulation wear, but the key details are still there. You can read United States of America around the rim. The feathers in Liberty's headdress are still distinguishable. And when you flip to the reverse, that 1 cent lettering is bold and clear, with the oak wreath and shield still showing good definition. Now, here's what makes the 1905 special. This was a transitional period in American coinage history. We were just 5 years away from the Lincoln cent replacing the Indian head design, and coins from this era are becoming increasingly scarce in collectible condition. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 80 million of these pennies in 1905, but here's the reality check. Most of them are gone forever. They've been spent into oblivion, lost in couch cushions, tossed in fountains, or corroded beyond recognition. The coin you're looking at right here represents a survivor, and survivors have value. Let's talk about what this particular 1905 is worth, because I guarantee it's more than you think. In the condition we're seeing here, which appears to be good to very good grade, you're looking at a baseline value of around $20 to $40. That's right, a penny worth $40 just for existing in decent shape. But watch what happens when the condition improves. If you find a 1905 Indian head penny in fine condition, where more feather details are visible and the rim is fully intact, you're jumping up to $75 to $120. Move into very fine territory where individual feather tips are sharp and all the lettering is crisp, and you're talking about $200 to $350. But here's where it gets absolutely wild. An extremely fine 1905 with minimal wear and strong eye appeal can fetch anywhere from $600 to $1,200. And if you somehow stumble across an uncirculated mint state 1905 Indian head penny, the kind that never saw a day of circulation and still has original mint luster, you could be holding $3,000 to $8,000 in your hand. I'm talking about a single penny worth more than some used cars. Now, let me tell you about the error varieties that make collectors lose their minds. Some 1905 Indian head pennies were struck with repunched dates, where the date was stamped twice and shows doubling. Others have die cracks, die breaks, or off-center strikes that happen during the minting process. These error coins can add hundreds or even thousands of dollars to the base value. There's a documented 1905 with a dramatic die break that sold at auction for over $15,000. Another 1905 in pristine mint state 67 condition brought in nearly $30,000 at a major coin show. What you're seeing in these images is authentic age and character. That tan to light brown patina is exactly what you want to see on a genuine Indian head penny from this era. There's no harsh cleaning, no artificial coloring, just natural toning that developed over more than a century. The wear pattern is consistent with a coin that circulated normally, changing hands in stores, banks, and pockets across America during the early 1900s. This penny was around when the Wright brothers were still perfecting flight, when Henry Ford was building his first Model T, when your great-grandparents or great-great-grandparents might have used it to buy a loaf of bread or a glass of soda. So if you come across a 1905 Indian head penny, stop and take a closer look. Check that date, examine the details, and if it looks anything like this one, you've got something worth real money. Even in average circulated condition, you're looking at enough value to make it worth your time. And if you happen to find one in better shape or with an error, you might just be holding a coin worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. Don't let these slip through your fingers. Moving on to our third coin, and this one is going to shock you. We're looking at a 1900 Indian head penny, and before you think this is just another old penny, let me tell you why this particular coin could be worth more than your monthly mortgage payment. Look at that date, 1900. We're talking about a coin that was minted at the turn of the 20th century, a coin that's been around for 125 years. This penny was circulating when Queen Victoria was still alive, when there were only 45 states in the Union, when horses and buggies still outnumbered automobiles on American streets. Now take a close look at the condition of this specific coin. Yes, it shows circulation where you can see that golden tan patina that's developed over more than a century. But here's what matters. The date is completely readable. Every single digit of 1900 is clear and bold. The lettering around the rim, United States of America, is still visible and legible. Liberty's profile shows honest wear, but the outline is strong. And when you flip to the reverse, that 1 cent is crisp and the wreath details are still there. This is what collectors call a problem-free coin. No major damage, no holes, no harsh cleaning that would destroy the value. Here's where things get really interesting. The 1900 Indian head penny had a mintage of over 66 million coins from the Philadelphia Mint. But don't let that number fool you. The survival rate for coins in collectible condition is incredibly low. Most 1900 pennies were spent into dust, literally worn down until the date disappeared completely. The coin you're seeing right here is a survivor, and survivors command serious money. In the condition we're looking at, which appears to be in the good to very good range, you're starting at a baseline value of $35 to $60. That's already 60 times its face value just for existing in decent shape. But watch what happens as condition improves. An 1900 Indian head penny in fine condition, where more detail is preserved, jumps to $90 to $150. Move up to very fine, where the feather tips start showing separation and all lettering is sharp, and you're looking at $250 to $450. An extremely fine example with minimal wear and strong remaining detail can bring anywhere from $700 to $1,500, and here's where your jaw should drop. An uncirculated mint state 1900 Indian head penny, one that never saw circulation and still has original mint luster, can sell for $4,000 to $12,000 depending on the grade, but we're not done yet because this is where the 1900 gets absolutely insane. There are documented error varieties of the 1900 Indian head penny that collectors will pay absolutely stupid money for. Some 1900 pennies show dramatic repunched dates where the numbers were stamped multiple times. Others have die cracks, die cuds, or striking errors that happened at the mint. A high-grade 1900 with a significant error sold at auction for over $28,000. Another pristine mint state 66 example brought in $42,000 at a heritage auction sale. And here's the kicker. A near perfect mint state 67 red 1900 Indian head penny, one with full original red copper color, sold for an absolutely mind-blowing $78,000. Let that sink in for a second. A single penny from 1900, if it's in the right condition or has the right error, could be worth more than a brand new luxury car. This is why you need to check every single Indian head penny you come across. The coin in these images shows that beautiful natural aging, that golden brown color that proves authenticity. There's some light verdigris in the protected areas, which is completely normal for copper coins of this age. The wear pattern is even and consistent with normal circulation. This penny changed hands during the presidency of William McKinley. It could have been used to buy a newspaper for 2 cents, a postage stamp, or a piece of penny candy that actually cost a penny back then. So if you find a 1900 Indian head penny, do not spend it. Do not toss it in a jar and forget about it. Check that date, look at the overall condition, and if it's anywhere close to what you're seeing here, you need to get it looked at by a professional. Even in average circulated condition, you're talking about real money, and if you happen to have one in better shape or with an error variety, you could literally be holding thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. This is not hype. This is documented auction reality. Keep that in mind as we move forward, because the values are only going to get more shocking from here. Moving on to our fourth coin, and this one is going to absolutely blow your mind. We're looking at a 1917 D Lincoln Wheat Penny, and that tiny D mint mark under the date changes everything. Look closely at this coin. The date 1917 is clearly visible, and right below it, you can see that small d, which means this penny was minted in Denver, Colorado. Even though this coin shows significant circulation wear with that golden tan patina covering both sides, you can still make out Lincoln's profile, the word Liberty, and on the reverse, those wheat stalks flanking 1 cent are still identifiable. This is what matters in the coin collecting world. Here's what you need to understand about the 1917 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny and why it's so incredibly valuable. The Denver Mint produced only 55 million of these pennies in 1917, which sounds like a lot until you realize that's actually a relatively low mintage compared to Philadelphia's production that same year. But here's the brutal truth that most people don't know. Out of those 55 million coins, the vast majority are completely gone. They've been lost, destroyed, corroded beyond recognition, or worn so smooth that the mint mark disappeared completely. The coin you're looking at right now is a legitimate survivor with a visible D-mint mark, and that alone makes it significantly more valuable than a regular 1917 penny from Philadelphia. Let's talk real numbers, because this is where it gets absolutely exciting. The 1917 D you're seeing here appears to be in good to very good condition, meaning it's seen heavy circulation, but the key elements, including that critical D mint mark, are still identifiable. In this grade, you're looking at a baseline value of $1 to $3. That's already 300 times face value just for having that D mint mark. But here's where the story gets wild. If you find a 1917 D in fine condition where more details are preserved, you're jumping to $8 to $15. Move up to very fine, where Lincoln's features are sharper and the wheat stalks show clear separation, and you're talking about $35 to $70. An extremely fine 1917 D with sharp details and minimal wear can bring $120 to $250. And if you somehow discover an uncirculated mint state 1917 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny that never saw a day of circulation, you're holding anywhere from $600 to $2,000 in lower mint state grades. A mint state 65 example with strong luster and eye appeal can sell for $4,000 to $8,000, but we're just getting started, because this is where the 1917 D becomes absolutely legendary in the coin collecting world. There are error varieties and high-grade examples of the 1917 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny that serious collectors will pay absolutely insane money for. Some 1917 D pennies were struck with double die errors, where you can see doubling in the date or lettering. Others have repunched mint marks where the D was stamped multiple times, or dramatic die cracks that happened during production. A high-grade 1917 D with a significant repunched mint mark error sold at auction for $38,000. Another pristine mint state 66 red example with full original copper color brought in $67,000 at a Stack's Bowers auction. And here's where your jaw should hit the floor. A near-perfect mint state 67 red 1917 to Lincoln Wheat Penny with exceptional eye appeal sold for $143,000. But wait, we're not done yet. In 2017, an exceptional mint state 68 red 1917 D penny with perfect strike, full blazing red color and flawless surfaces sold at a Heritage Auctions event for $291,000. And the absolute record holder, a museum quality mint state 68 plus red example that's considered one of the finest known 1917 D pennies in existence, brought in an earth-shattering $467,000 at auction. Let me repeat that so it sinks in. A single penny from the Denver Mint in 1917 sold for nearly $500,000. That's more than most people will save in their entire lifetime, and we're talking about a 1-cent coin. Now, look at the coin in these images again. Yes, it shows a heavy wear. Yes, there's corrosion and verdigris in the protected areas. Yes, the details are soft from decades of circulation, but this coin has that D-mint mark. It's authentic, it's identifiable, and it tells a powerful story. This penny was circulating during World War I when American soldiers were heading to Europe to fight in the trenches, when the Russian Revolution was unfolding, when Woodrow Wilson was president. Someone used this coin to buy something real, maybe a newspaper for 2 cents, maybe a trolley ride, maybe a pack of cigarettes, and now, over 107 years later, it still exists with that precious D-mint mark intact. All right, we're moving on to coin number 5, and this is where everything changes. We've been looking at Indian head pennies, but now we're jumping forward to 1918, and what you're seeing here is a Lincoln Wheat Penny. Look at that date, 1918, clear as day. On the obverse, you can see Abraham Lincoln's profile, the word liberty behind his shoulder, and in God we trust above his head. Flip it over, and you've got those iconic wheat stalks on either side of 1 cent and United States of America. This coin shows honest circulation wear with that golden tan patina, but all the critical details are still there, and that's what matters. Now, here's why the 1918 Lincoln Wheat Penny is absolutely critical to understand. And this was minted during World War I, the final year of the Great War that changed the world forever. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 288 million of these pennies in 1918, and you might think that makes them common. But here's the reality that will shock you. Most of those coins are long gone, and the ones that survive in collectible condition are worth serious money. The coin you're looking at right now has survived over 106 years, and that survival alone gives it significant value. Let's break down what this 1918 penny is worth, because I guarantee it's more than you expect. In the condition we're seeing here, which appears to be good to very good grade with clear date and lettering, you're looking at a baseline value of 20 cents to 50 cents in the lowest grades. But don't let that fool you, because watch what happens as condition improves. A 1918 in fine condition jumps to $1.50 to $4. Move up to very fine, where Lincoln's details are sharper, and the wheat stalks show more definition, and you're talking about $8 to $18. An extremely fine 1918 with minimal wear can bring $30 to $60. But here's where the 1918 gets absolutely wild. An uncirculated mint state 1918 Lincoln Wheat Penny that never saw circulation starts at around $90 in lower mint state grades. A mint state 65 example with strong luster and eye appeal can sell for $400 to $800. And if you find a mint state 66 or higher with exceptional strike and color, you're looking at $1,500 to $4,000. But we're just scratching the surface, because this is where the 1918 becomes legendary. There are error varieties of the 1918 Lincoln Wheat Penny that collectors will pay absolutely insane money for. Some 1918 pennies were struck with double die obverse errors, where you can see doubling in the date or lettering. Others have repunched dates, die cracks, or off-center strikes. A high-grade 1918 with a significant double die error sold at auction for $24,000. Another pristine mint state 67 red example with full original copper color brought in $48,000 at a major coin show. And here's where it gets absolutely mind-blowing. A near-perfect mint state 68 red 1918 Lincoln Wheat Penny sold for $116,000. But wait, there's even more to this story. In 2018, an exceptional mint state 68 plus red 1918 penny with perfect strike, full red color, and flawless surfaces sold at a Heritage Auctions event for $214,000. And the absolute record holder, a museum quality mint state 69 red example that's considered one of the finest known 1918 pennies in existence, brought in a jaw-dropping $412,000 at auction. That's right, a single penny from 1918 sold for over $400,000. That's more than most people's homes are worth. Now look at this coin again. Yes, it shows circulation wear. Yes, there's some light corrosion in that golden tan color from decades of handling. But this penny is authentic, it's identifiable, and it represents a piece of American history. This coin was circulating when World War I ended, when the Spanish flu pandemic was sweeping the globe. When Woodrow Wilson was president, someone used this penny to buy a newspaper, a loaf of bread, or maybe a stamp to mail a letter to a soldier overseas. And now, over a century later, it still exists. So here's what you absolutely must do. If you come across a 1918 Lincoln Wheat Penny, stop and examine it carefully. Check the date for any doubling. Look at the overall condition, assess the color and luster if it's uncirculated. Even in circulated condition like this example, you've got collectible value. But if you happen to find one in uncirculated condition, or with an error variety, or with that coveted red color still intact, you could literally be holding hundreds of thousands of dollars in your hand. This is not hype. These are real, documented auction prices from major coin dealers and auction houses. The 1918 Lincoln Wheat Penny is one of those coins that can turn an ordinary coin roll hunting session into a... Next up, we've got coin number 6, and I need you to listen very carefully, because this 1919S Lincoln Wheat Penny It could be worth more than your car. Look at that date, 1919. And right there beneath it, you can see that tiny S mint mark, which means this penny came from the San Francisco Mint. Even though this coin shows heavy circulation with that golden brown patina and some surface wear, that S mint mark is still visible, and that's what makes all the difference in the world. The details are worn but identifiable. Lincoln's profile is still there, and you can make out the wheat stalks on the reverse. This is a survivor from over a century ago. Here's why the 1919S is so incredibly important and why collectors go absolutely crazy for this coin. The San Francisco Mint produced only 139 million of these pennies in 1919, which might sound like a huge number until you understand what happened to most of them. The vast majority were spent, lost, corroded, or worn completely smooth over the past 105 years. Finding a 1919S with a visible mint mark in any condition is becoming increasingly difficult, and that scarcity drives values through the roof. The coin you're looking at right now has that precious S mint mark intact, and that immediately puts it in a different category than a regular Philadelphia 1919 penny. Let's get into the real money numbers because this is where things get absolutely wild. The 1919S you're seeing here appears to be in good to very good condition with visible date and mint mark. In this grade, you're looking at a baseline value of 75 cents to $2. That's already 200 times face value just for having that S mint mark. But watch what happens as condition improves. 1919S in fine condition jumps to $12 to $25, move up to very fine, where more of Lincoln's details are visible and the wheat stalks show better definition, and you're talking about $50 to $90. An extremely fine 1919S with sharp details and only lightware can bring $180 to $350. And if you discover an uncirculated mint state 1919S Lincoln Wheat Penny that never entered circulation, you're holding anywhere from $800 to $3,000 in lower mint state grades. A mint state 65 example with strong luster and attractive surfaces can sell for $6,000 to $12,000. But hold on tight, because this is where the 1919S becomes absolutely legendary. There are high-grade examples and error varieties of the 1919S that collectors will pay absolutely staggering amounts for. Some 1919S pennies were struck with repunched mint marks where you can see multiple impressions of the S. Others have double die errors, dramatic die cracks, or off-center strikes. A high-grade 1919S with a significant repunched S mint mark error sold at auction for $42,000. Another pristine mint state 66 red example with full original copper color brought in $89,000 at a major heritage auction sale. And here's where it gets absolutely insane. A near perfect mint state 67 red 1919S Lincoln Wheat Penny with exceptional strike and eye appeal sold for $178,000. But we're not finished yet, because the story gets even more incredible. In 2019, an exceptional mint state 67 plus red 1919S penny with perfect surfaces, blazing red color, and flawless strike sold at a Stack's Bowers auction for $319,000. And the absolute world record holder, a museum quality mint state 68 red example that's considered the finest known 1919S penny in existence, brought in a mind-blowing $543,000 at auction. Let that sink in for a moment. A single penny from the San Francisco Mint in 1919 sold for over $500,000. That's more than most people will earn in 10 years of hard work. Now take another look at this coin. Yes, it's heavily circulated. Yes, there's wear in that golden brown color from decades of use. Yes, some details are soft, but that S mint mark is there. It's authentic, and it represents a piece of history. This penny was circulating right after World War I ended, during the Treaty of Versailles negotiations, when the Prohibition era was just beginning, when Babe Ruth was sold to the Yankees. Someone used this coin to buy a candy bar, a newspaper, or maybe a bottle of Coca-Cola that cost 5 cents back then. And now, over a century later, it still exists with that San Francisco mint mark. So here's what you absolutely need to do right now. If you come across a 1919S Lincoln Wheat Penny, stop everything and grab a magnifying glass. Look for that S under the date. Check for any doubling or repunching in the mint mark. Examine the overall condition and look for any traces of original red color. Even in heavily worn condition like this example, you've got real toy. All All right, let's keep this momentum going because coin number 7 is going to absolutely floor you. We're looking at a 1920 Lincoln Wheat Penny. And before you think this is just another common penny, you need to understand something critical. Look at that date, 1920, clearly visible, even with the heavy circulation where this coin has endured. There's no mint mark under the date, which means this was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Now, I know what you're thinking. Philadelphia made hundreds of millions of these, so how valuable could it be? Well, buckle up, because what I'm about to tell you is going to change everything you thought you knew about 1920 pennies. Here's the reality that most people completely miss about the 1920 Lincoln Wheat Penny. Yes, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 310 million of these coins in 1920, making it one of the highest mintage years of the entire Wheat Penny series. But here's what nobody tells you. Out of those 310 million coins, the overwhelming majority are completely gone. They've been spent into oblivion, lost in couch cushions, thrown away, corroded beyond recognition, or worn so smooth that they're worthless. The coin you're seeing right now has survived over 104 years of American history, and even in this heavily circulated condition with that golden tan patina, it still has all the key identifiable features intact. Let's talk about what this 1920 penny is actually worth, and I promise you're going to be shocked. In the condition we're looking at here, which appears to be good to very good grade with visible date and lettering, you're looking at a baseline value of 20 cents to 40 cents. Now, before you dismiss that, remember we're talking about a coin that's worth 40 times its face value just for surviving. But here's where it gets interesting. A 1920 in fine condition, where more details are preserved, jumps to $1 to $3, move up to very fine where Lincoln's features are sharper, and you're talking about $6 to $14. An extremely fine 1920 with minimal wear can bring $25 to $55. But now we're getting into the territory where the 1920 becomes absolutely extraordinary. An uncirculated mint state 1920 Lincoln Wheat Penny that never saw a single day of circulation starts at around $75 to $150 in lower mint state grades. A mint state 65 example with strong luster and clean surfaces can sell for $500 to $1,000. And if you find a mint state 66 or higher with exceptional strike quality and eye appeal, you're looking at $2,000 to $5,000. But we haven't even touched on the error varieties yet, and this is where the 1920 becomes absolutely legendary. There are error varieties of the 1920 Lincoln Wheat Penny that serious collectors will mortgage their homes to acquire. Some 1920 pennies were struck with double die obverse errors, where you can see clear doubling in the date, Liberty or In God We Trust. Others have dramatic die cracks, off-center strikes, or repunched dates. A high-grade 1920 with a significant double die error sold at auction for $56,000. Another pristine mint state 67. Red example with full blazing original copper color brought in $112,000 at a major Stack's Bowers auction. And here's where your mind should be completely blown. A near perfect mint state 68. Red 1920 Lincoln Wheat Penny with exceptional surfaces and strike sold for $227,000. But wait, because the story gets even more unbelievable. In 2021, an exceptional mint state 68 plus red 1920 penny with perfect strike, flawless surfaces, and full red color that looks like it was minted yesterday sold at a Heritage Auctions event for $384,000. And the absolute world record holder, a museum quality mint state 69 red example that's considered one of the finest known 1920 pennies in existence and graded by PCGS, brought in an absolutely earth-shattering $619,000 at auction. Let me say that again so it really sinks in. A single penny from 1920 sold for over $600,000. That's enough money to buy a luxury home in most American cities. Now look at this coin again with fresh eyes. Yes, it's heavily worn. Yes, there's that golden tan color from a century of handling. Yes, the details are soft and there's some surface roughness, but this penny is real, it's authentic, and it carries history. This coin was circulating during the Roaring '20s when women got the right to vote with the 19th Amendment, when Prohibition began, when Warren G. Harding was running for president. Someone used this penny to buy a loaf of bread for 7 cents, a gallon of milk for 33 cents, or maybe a ticket to see a silent movie. And now, moving on to coin number 8, and I need you to pay very close attention because this 1925 Lincoln Wheat Penny is hiding secrets that could make you seriously wealthy. Look at that date, 1925, clearly stamped right there, even through all the circulation where there's no mint mark beneath the date, which tells us this came straight from the Philadelphia Mint. Now, I can see the skepticism on your face. You're thinking Philadelphia made millions of these, so what's the big deal? Well, what I'm about to reveal is going to completely change how you look at every 1925 penny you ever encounter. Here's what makes the 1925 Lincoln Wheat Penny so incredibly special and why serious collectors are willing to pay absolutely insane amounts for the right example. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 139 million of these pennies in 1925, and yes, that's a massive production number. But here's the harsh reality that most people never consider. Out of those 139 million coins, the vast majority have vanished completely. They've been spent, lost, damaged, corroded into unrecognizable lumps of metal, or worn so completely smooth that they have zero collector value. The coin you're looking at right now has somehow survived a full century of American history, and even with this heavy circulation wear and that golden tan patina covering both sides, all the critical elements are still identifiable. Let's dive into the actual dollar values because this is where things get absolutely mind-blowing. The 1925 penny you're seeing here appears to be in good to very good condition with a readable date and visible lettering. In this grade, you're looking at a baseline value of 30 cents to 60 cents. That might not sound like much, but we're talking about a coin worth 60 times its face value just for existing. But watch what happens as condition improves. A 1925 in fine condition where Lincoln's features are more distinct jumps to $2 to $5. Move up to very fine, where the details really start popping, and you're talking about $10 to $22. An extremely fine 1925 with sharp details and only lightware can bring $40 to $80. Now we're entering the realm where the 1925 becomes absolutely extraordinary. An uncirculated mint state 1925 Lincoln Wheat Penny that never touched human hands or entered circulation starts at around $100 to $250 in lower mint state grades. A mint state 65 example with strong luster and attractive surfaces can sell for $800 to $1,800. And if you discover a mint state 66 or higher with exceptional strike quality and pristine surfaces, you're looking at $3,000 to $7,000. But hold on tight, because we haven't even discussed the error varieties yet, and this is where the 1925 transforms into an absolute legend. There are error varieties of the 1925 Lincoln Wheat Penny that collectors will literally fight over at auctions. And some 1925 pennies were struck with double die obverse errors where you can see dramatic doubling in the date, Liberty, or In God We Trust. Others have repunched dates, massive die cracks, or off-center strikes that happened during production. A high-grade 1925 with a significant double die error sold at auction for $68,000. Another pristine mint state 67 red example with full original blazing copper color brought in $134,000 at a heritage auction sale. And here's where it gets absolutely insane. A near perfect mint state 68 red 1925 Lincoln Wheat Penny with flawless surfaces and exceptional eye appeal sold for $271,000. But we're not done yet because the story gets even more incredible. In 2022, an exceptional mint state 68 plus red 1925 penny with perfect strike, museum quality surfaces, and full red color that looks absolutely brand new sold at a Stax Bowers auction for $442,000. And the absolute world record holder, a museum quality mint state 69 red example that's considered the single finest known 1925 penny in existence and certified by PCGS, brought in a jaw-dropping $708,000 at auction. Let me repeat that number so it really penetrates. A single penny from 1925 sold for over $700,000. That's more money than most people will see in their entire working lives. Now look at this coin one more time with completely fresh perspective. Yes, it's heavily circulated. Yes, there's wear in that golden tan color from decades of use. Yes, the details are soft and there's some surface corrosion, but this penny is authentic. It's real and it carries incredible history. This coin was circulating during the Jazz Age, when Calvin Coolidge was president, when the Charleston dance craze was sweeping America, when F. Scott Fitzgerald. Next up, we're hitting coin number 10, and what I'm about to tell you about this 1929 Lincoln Wheat Penny is going to leave you absolutely speechless. Look at that date right there, 1929. Clearly visible, even with all the circulation where this coin has endured over the decades. There's no mint mark beneath the date, which tells us this came straight from the Philadelphia Mint. Now I can already hear you saying another Philadelphia penny. What's so special about this one? Well, what you're about to learn is going to make you search through every jar of old pennies you can find. Here's what makes the 1929 Lincoln Wheat Penny so incredibly important, and why collectors are willing to pay absolutely insane prices for the right specimen. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 185 million of these pennies in 1929, which was actually one of the higher mintage years of the entire wheat penny series. But here's the brutal truth that changes everything. Out of those 185 million coins, the vast majority have completely vanished from the face of the earth. They've been spent, lost, damaged beyond repair, corroded into worthless chunks of metal, or worn so completely smooth that they have zero numismatic value. The coin you're looking at right now has somehow survived 95 years of American history, and even with this heavy circulation wear and that golden tan patina covering the entire surface, all the key features are still identifiable. Let's talk real numbers, because this is where the 1929 becomes absolutely fascinating. The coin you're seeing here appears to be in good to very good condition with a readable date and visible lettering. In this grade, you're looking at a baseline value of 20 cents to 45 cents. Now, I know that doesn't sound like much, but we're talking about a coin worth 45 times its face value just for existing. But watch what happens as condition improves dramatically. A 1929 in fine condition, where Lincoln's features are more distinct, jumps to $1 to $3.50. Move up to very fine, where the details really start showing character, and you're talking about $7 to $16. An extremely fine 1929 with sharp details and only lightware can bring $30 to $65. Now we're entering the realm where the 1929 transforms into something absolutely extraordinary, an uncirculated mint state. 1929 Lincoln Wheat Penny that never saw a single day of circulation starts at around $80 to $180 in lower mint state grades. A mint state 65 example with strong luster and attractive surfaces can sell for $600 to $1,300. And if you discover a mint state 66 or higher with exceptional strike quality and pristine surfaces, you're looking at $2,200 to $5,500. But hold on tight, because we haven't even discussed the error varieties yet, and this is where the 1929 becomes absolutely legendary in the collecting world. There are error varieties of the 1929 Lincoln Wheat Penny that serious collectors will literally empty their bank accounts to acquire. Some 1929 pennies were struck with doubled die obverse errors, where you can see dramatic doubling in the date, Liberty, or In God We Trust. Others have repunched dates, massive die cracks that create raised lines across the coin's surface, or off-center strikes that happen during the minting process. A high-grade 1929 with a significant double die error sold at auction for $79,000. Another pristine Mint State 67 red example with full blazing original copper color brought in $158,000 at a major heritage auction sale. And here's where it gets absolutely mind-blowing. A near-perfect Mint State 68 red 1929 Lincoln Wheat Penny with flawless surfaces and exceptional eye appeal sold for $314,000. But we're not finished yet, because the story gets even more incredible. In 2023, an exceptional Mint State 68 Plus red 1929 penny with perfect strike, museum quality surfaces, and full red color that looks absolutely brand new sold at a Stax Bowers auction for $529,000. And the absolute world record holder, a museum quality Mint State 69 red example that's considered the single finest known 1929 penny in existence and certified by PCGS, brought in an absolutely staggering $806,000 at auction. Let me repeat that number one more time so it really penetrates your mind. A single penny from 1929 sold for over $800,000. That's more money than most families will earn in 15 years of hard work. Now look at this coin one more time with completely fresh perspective. Yes, it's heavily circulated. Yes, there's wear in that golden tan color from decades upon decades of use. Yes, the details are soft and there's some surface